These two grown men had never seen the Simpsons. How the fuck's that even happen? They're two grown men on a mission now, so buckle up and just strap in.
Wake up, grab a brush and put a little makeup. Hide the scars and fade away the shakes. Why'd you leave the keys upon the table? Here you go, create another fable. You wanted to. Grab a brush and put a little makeup. You wanted to. Hide the scars and fade away the shakes.
These two grown men had never seen the Simpsons. It's America's barley basket.
Welcome, everybody, to America's Barley Basket. I am your host, Nathan Folsebuck. Sitting next to me virtually is our other host. That doesn't sound nice. What's your preferred title, Marlin?
I think you and I are both host. I don't...
Hosts.
I never specify. I never insult you by calling you the other host. So.
You don't like labels. You are a freewheeling Marlon Wells.
That's
the
me.
Freewheeling podcast and takes of Marlon Wells.
Freewheeling Marlon Wells is my early 80s wrestling persona.
You'd have to have like a jacket with frills on the sleeves.
Absolutely. We got fringe game. I got a beautiful blown out mullet.
Feathered to the, you look like Farrah Fawcett. If Farrah Fawcett had a strong submission hold game.
I'm really just envisioning like a 400-pound Michael P.S.A.'s.
What do you think? Let's say in a different world, Marlon Wells takes the leap, goes into professional wrestling. What's your style? Kind of ring persona? What kind of moves? What's your move setup?
Oh man, well I don't have it in me to be a high flyer. That's for fucking sure. And I don't like heights, so probably just a ground and pounder, a real rugged Ronnie Garvin type.
Oh really? Hands of stone.
Yeah, just a real grind it out kind of fella.
Yeah, I don't know what I would be, because in my head, I keep thinking like Monster Heel. That's just because I was a Monster Heel when I was 9. I was a head taller than most of the other kids.
Just full-grown man at 9.
Yeah, but now I'm just not a Monster Heel. So I don't know what I would be. I think kind of like a cheap shot artist, maybe like a road dog, like... I would be the less physically imposing of a tag team, but I would be the guy that would like the smart conniving part of a tag team. I think I could pull that off.
You'd be the one out on the floor grabbing guys' feet as they came by, serving as the distraction. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I could see that. Doing schoolboy roll-ups, pulling on the tights.
Yeah, lots of legs on the ropes to get that leverage for the pin.
Yeah, I see you holding up 2 fingers at a referee, challenging the count every time.
One of these times it's going to work.
2? Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. When has that ever worked? When has anyone ever? No referee has ever been like, you know what? You're right. It's 3. Go ahead, ring the bell.
Yeah. Trying to think what my finishing move was. We had a backyard wrestling league. We built a belt for it and everything when I was like 9 years old. Shout out to Damien, who was probably listening. He was part of that. I think I held the IC belt. I never got a shot at the heavyweight champion. I had a neighbor kid. He was kind of like the Ric Flair. He was very conniving, even though I deserved a shot at the... And I remember what he would do is he would let his little brother beat him, and then he would beat him later. So he could be like the 5-time heavyweight champion. It's like, wait a second. Last Thursday, you were the 2-time. It's like, yeah, Ryan won it twice over. What?
Yeah, just after school the other day, he won it. I won it back. So.
And looking back, we were doing strong style before strong style was a thing. Because that's how it was like, it'd be pretend moves right away, and then we just kind of get ornery and start trying to beat each other.
Eventually somebody would have enough of it.
Yeah, and then it became shoot wrestling. I was a big Campbell clutch guy. That was oftentimes my finisher.
I have always really liked the... Like Sting used it for his finish. I forget what he calls it, but that reverse DDT, where they're facing up. Yeah. That I always liked that, and I always thought, well, it's weird that no one ever took that as their finish. Now that I think about it, I don't know that I got the mean spirit to be a rugged Ronnie Garvin. I might fall into more of a Rick Steiner. I see a lot of belly to belly suplexes in.
You got a suplex build. I could see that.
Yeah, I think a lot of grab a hold kind of guy.
I think I'd have to have like a maybe like, over the shoulder. So like, I'm trying to think almost how like Undertaker would do his pile driver, where it's like their chest to your chest over the shoulder, but instead of a pile driver, like a big slam. I don't got the arm strength, even if I worked out like a military press or anything I'm more of a core strength. I'm shaped like a fucking silo.
I assume that in this hypothetical world that you've created, we've taken better care of ourselves.
Yeah.
And this isn't.
We're still fat. But yeah, we're wrestling fat. We're Manny Fernandez fat.
I don't see this as just a quantum leap situation where suddenly you're a wrestler today.
Yeah. All of a sudden you're in Tony Atlas's body.
Just throwing pump handle slams all over the place.
Yeah. Even though as a kid, I always had an affinity for brain busters, I don't know. That's a lot of risk. I don't want to hurt somebody. A well done brain buster. God, that looks good in the ring. I love a good brain buster. It looks like you killed the guy. Yeah. Yep. Like to the point, I wonder, how do you make sure you do that safely? That takes a lot of trust.
I mean, there's got to be a way, right? Otherwise, we'd be reading, the 87th casualty from the Brainbuster when fucking Jungle Boy threw one on Dynamite last week.
I got a hunch they might be kind of dicey moves because you think you'd see them more often if they weren't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's
I'd
true.
Say it comes down to a lot of trust. Like, you've worked in the ring with that other guy a bunch. You know that he knows what he's doing. You know that he's strong enough or that you're light enough for him to pull it off and not struggle with it, like.
Yeah. The only thing that, like, my only kind of gripe with finishes is that I don't much care for, like, a striking finish. Like, a finish should be a hold, like a...
Oh, yeah.
Like a power bomb is a finish, but a fucking super kick isn't a finish. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you see that a lot now that guys are smaller. Like, there's a lot of, this guy's finish is a running knee. And it's like, no, I'm not into it.
I think if you sell it right, it can work. Like, I always thought they never figured out a way to use him right. He was this big, bearded, super tall. Not really, I mean, he was big, but not fat at all. But like big, ornery, bearded, like he's either British or Irish. He had that like running elbow or forearm thing that he would do. Do you remember that? He was an announcer for that Billy Corgan's NWA like a year or so ago. I think he's done with in-ring work now. He was one of the last kings of the WWE that I remember too.
Oh, is it Wade Barrett?
Wade Barrett. He had a striking finisher that I just thought he pulled it off well. But I see what you're saying. They usually the percentages of it look like, well, there's the fucking people's elbow, dumb as shit. I love The Rock. Like, wasn't there a story about Mankind? Like, hey man, we're gonna have a great match, but if you expect me to sell that fucking elbow, I'm not gonna let you beat me with a fucking elbow drop. Like.
And, like, there's exceptions, like, fucking Shawn Michaels just did a super kick, but, like, he built up enough theatrics around it to where you could sell it as a big deal.
Yeah, and when I was a kid, the super kick never happened unless it was him or Chris Adams, Like, now everyone does a super kick. Like,
yeah, now super kick is just a move.
Yeah, and I guess I don't mind that new heavyweight champ, that big running boot he does, but it's... The one thing about them, they're just too easy to break out. I don't really like to do. I like a finisher that a guy has to really be reeling because it takes a little work to get it to work. If that makes sense, Like,
yeah, I'm with you.
Like a human torture rack. The guy's got to be real wobbly to be able to be picked up and put into that position, like
it takes a lot of work to get there. You can't.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I also kind of like a finisher you can hit out of nowhere, like the Stone Cold Stunner. Like,
yeah, that is true. Or, oh man, it was the Diamond Cutter for Diamond Dallas Page, but what's his name? Art has the RKO with that.
Oh, Randy Orton, yeah. Randall, yeah. He apparently asked Diamond Dallas Page if he could use that when he first started using it.
Oh, well, that's polite.
Yeah, very.
Yeah. For a guy that started his rep as hating legendary wrestlers, that was very courteous of him. I hope he was real bashful about it. Like, Mr. Page, I'm just wondering, if you're not using that move tonight.
I know you're probably not using it a lot in your yoga. If I could borrow that.
It'd just be really neat. I just think you're neat. I think this move is neat.
There's something I really like about Randall Orton using the word neat that I'm pretty into.
I just think this is all pretty neat.
Speaking of which, I could see you being the conniving Cowboy Bob Orton type with your permanent cast on your arm.
Yeah. And I think I could also sell being a coward, like being like on my knees, like with my hands in the air, like Ric Flair style. I think I got the theatrics for that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you could pull off a good show his ass coward heel.
I think I could also be a good mid-card good guy that the crowd would root for, but could ultimately get beat up by the good heels, like the tough heels.
Yeah.
Like, oh, he's trying his best, do some fist pumps, reverse a couple moves, like an inverted atomic drop. Uh-oh, he just got Big Van Vader and the Biscuits. I think he's turning this match around, and then I get decapitated.
And sell it well. Sell it like you got hit by a bus.
Yeah, I think I would take pride in my selling. I would. I'd be a Simpsons podcast. Holy guacamole. We are 15 minutes in, even for us.
Yeah, even for us.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, man, deep down, you and I both just want to host a wrestling podcast, and we won't let ourselves do it.
Yeah, we just keep fighting nature. Let's try talk about The Simpsons, Marlon. You want to give it an honest effort this time?
Yeah, why not?
We got it in us. Let's try.
I'll see what I can do here with episode 9 of season 12, which is entitled Homer, H-O-M-R, which I imagine is supposed to be like Whopper from, is it War Games? Is that the name of the computer in War Games?
I didn't even, good catch. I did not
might
get
be
that
wrong.
reference.
I might completely be wrong, but it's the first thing I thought of anyway.
I'm Team Marlin all the way.
Ah, that a boy. We get the Simpsons going to an animation convention. A lot of conventions come through Springfield.
Yeah, no shit.
For episode starters.
Yeah. That's a very good point. What's going on in this town?
I did like the all the different types of animation we get to see. I like Bart watching anime, the fucking ridiculous anime with what is it, Prawn Princess?
Yep. Yeah, I got a kick out of that. I enjoyed where I love the fourth wall shit that they like to do on The Simpsons, where Lisa's talking about something. I think it's that exact episode, or that it's like that doesn't make any sense, and Bart's like, animation doesn't have to make any sense, and then that little green floating alien popped up.
Yeah, from
Flintstones, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And he's like, he's right, And I was like, that's what I was like. Wait a second, that was from the that had to be some late season. We are out of fucking ideas. We're gonna throw an alien in, I guess, question mark, and see if they buy it. Like, what a ridiculous idea for a Stone Age fucking cartoon.
Yeah, throw this weird alien thing in here. I think he eventually went on to show up elsewhere in the Hanna-Barbera cartoons too.
Oh, interesting. Huh.
We get an itchy and scratchy cigarette ad from. We know. I love that '50s newsreel and old cigarette ad shit.
Yeah,
which is real good. And I really enjoyed the Flanders watching that Christian claymation show.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing, Gravy? Oh, I'm building a pipe bomb to take down fucking
Planned Parenthood.
Yeah, Planned Parenthood. It had I don't know if that specific. It reminded me of Moral Oral on Adult
which
Swim.
Moral Oral is also playing off of a claymation Christian cartoon from like the 60s or 70s, which
that's what I figured.
Was not part of my Christian upbringing, but I knew of its existence. I think that was also like a boy and his talking dog was kind of the premise of it. Like,
yeah, I'm sure that whatever Moral Oral was referencing is the same thing the Simpsons are referencing here.
And for hot takes on adult animation, not a fan of Moral Oral. Never did much for me.
No, I was never much of a fan. Like, I've probably only seen maybe 4 or 5 episodes just because it was on Adult Swim.
Yeah.
But it was very, like...
one note is how I think of it.
Just shock value.
It's like, oh, these Christian people aren't that Christian. They actually do really crazy stuff. Like, amazing. That's a brilliant idea. Let's do it every episode. Like, yeah.
Yeah, it was just some shock jock shit. Like, here's something offensive. Do we have anything else to say? No, not really. But you'll sit through 11 minutes of this waiting for Squidbillies to start.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And what didn't do it any favors is that it was surrounded by great shows like Squidbillies. Fucking Aqua Teen was probably still good. You know, like, then just fucking god level shit like fucking Venture Brothers. Like, Jesus. You watch a half hour of Venture Brothers and follow it up with 15 minutes of Moral Oral. Moral Oral is going to look like a fucking turd that didn't flush down. Like...
I know that you have a reverence for this, and it's on HBO Max now, so I gave it a shot because I had never seen it before. I watched the first 3 episodes of The Brack Show for the first time the other day, and boy howdy, did that not do much for me.
Oh my god, damn it.
I was like, I get how this is gonna be funny to someone, but this is not for me.
God.
Like, which is how I feel about a lot of Adult Swim entertainment. Like I get it.
The first episode's the one where he's got to take care of Thundercleese's fish?
Yeah, it's the very first episode. Yep.
God damn it, man. That might be the best television show ever made. Whatever you do, don't feed him 3 hams. He even wrote him a song to remember. 3 hams will kill him. 3 hams will kill him. Whatever you do, don't feed him 3 hams.
Yeah, I was like, no, not for me. But again, to be fair, a lot of Adult Swim, especially Adult Swim of that era, was not for me. So,
no doubt. What any other hot takes on ones of that era that you didn't enjoy or at least didn't love?
I always thought Aqua Teen was just good. I never thought it was like amazing. We've discussed before, I fucking love C-Lab big time. C-Lab 2021 so fan. It's getting a little later, but I really liked Metalocalypse quite a bit. Venture Brothers, fantastic. But like so much of it, like fucking 12-ounce Mouse and Tom Goes to the Mayor and even Space Ghost I didn't love.
So I like Tom Goes to the Mayor a lot, but I did not like 12-ounce Mouse. I just thought that was esoteric for the sake of being like esoteric. It's like there's no plot really. It's just didn't do a whole lot for me.
The one thing I will give the Brack Show though, because I genuinely did feel this way, the character of Brack is outstanding. Like I really like dumb, sweet Brack. Yeah,
sweet's the right word. He's just a sweet boy.
Yeah.
But I just love all the unanswered questions. Like, how old is he? Like, what's going on with? Is he in school? I don't think you ever see him in school, but he's apparently a child. He's living at home, but maybe not.
And his parents are harping on him to do his homework like he must be a kid.
Yeah, good point. You're right, though. I think he does get dropped off at school, but I don't know if you ever see him in school. Like, because, oh my God, later on, Clarence gets initiated, or not in it, but gets brought into the show. Fucking Clarence is so ridiculous. When he fucking loses his virginity to a mountain lion.
Well, shit, maybe I need to keep watching, I guess. Maybe I didn't give it enough of a chance. I'll give pretty much any show 3 episodes.
Oh, good time. So, we have now talked about another animated show longer than we've talked about The Simpsons on this podcast.
We're at this animation convention. Homer gets on stage to try out this motion capture suit, which was pretty fun. Probably hot-ass technology in 2001.
Ooh, was it ever?
Homer is so taken with this new tech. I love that he's talking to Lenny and Carl like this is the kind of technology this country needs. There's so many things going uncaptured, so many emotions going uncaptured. I'm growing to really like his interactions with Lenny and Carl at work.
Yep.
Their water cooler shit is real good.
We've definitely become more. There's been more Lenny and Carl than before in these last few seasons.
Yeah. Homer goes to the bank, takes out his life savings so he can buy stock in the motion capture company, which immediately the next day, of course, goes bankrupt. And there's a scene of him at the bar being all, fucking broke and what am I going to do? And Barney tells him about the magic of doing medical research studies. Have you ever done a medical research study?
I have not, and it certainly has crossed my mind at different points in life, but for a vast majority of them, you got to be in shape. You can't be a little butter chunks.
I never have, but that hadn't crossed my mind that I would just be rejected coming through the door.
Yeah.
Maybe did they have just a small door, and if you're too big to fit through, you can't be a part of their study? It's just a narrow door.
If you can't walk through it, you have to side. You have to I don't know, scoot through it sideways. That's the sign. Alarms start going off.
You're cramming your way through there like somebody parked too close to your car.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, a lot of them, and too, if you're like, I'm on blood pressure meds, that's really that they 80-60 for a lot of that kind of stuff. They want young, nubile flesh that they can put
virile
on.
Folk to test out shit on.
A buddy of mine did one when we were in our early 20s, and he got like $3,000, and the first thing he bought was like a keg of like fancy keg beer, like something you normally wouldn't get in a keg, like I don't know what it was, Blue Moon or something like that, which was fancy when we were 22. And it just sat in his bathtub for like 72 hours. Just this room temp keg beer that we drank ourselves blind with for like a lost Memorial Day weekend.
Oof. I don't know if it's a hot take because it seems to be everyone's like inoffensive. Yeah, I'll just have one of those. I don't care for a Blue Moon. I'm not.
Me either.
I'm not a wheat beer guy.
I'm a trash beer guy.
We know you are.
Another tragic young keg stories where someone else got their hands on $500, which was just more money than we could imagine. So they had to get a keg of beer. We had it in someone's bathtub, and we quickly realized there was like a return time frame on the keg, if that makes sense. Like,
yeah, you got to return it for the deposit.
Yeah, and we're like, oh shit, we still got like half this keg left. And so we just filled the fucking gallon milk containers with fucking tap beer and just kept them in the fridge. It would just show up at parties with flat gallon jugs of fucking, flat old Milwaukee Light. But we drank every drop, Marlon.
Oh, studious boys that you were.
Exactly.
Yeah,
underage children in a parking lot of a bar filling milk jugs from a keg in broad daylight.
Honestly, if the clock were ticking on a fucking keg return, I would probably do the same thing. So, and I would do that today, and I'm 36.
Just plug up the bathroom sink and just dump it all in there. Put a ladle in it.
Listen, kitty, you can't go in the bathroom anymore. I don't need you drinking out of the sink.
Yeah.
So Homer goes to this medical testing joint. They immediately spray him with perfume that burns him real bad, which I thought was funny. I'll give credit where credit's due always with The Simpsons. There's a joke where he's doing a reaction test where the light lights up and he has to push a button, and sitting across from him is a rat, and the rat keeps beating him to the button, and he keeps getting mad and shouting dough, and they cut to the fucking doctors behind the one-way glass watching this going like, where'd the rat even come from? I don't know. He must have brought it in himself. God damn it, did I laugh at that.
That's like... Right around the same time, too, when they're just discussing his patheticness, one of the doctors just goes, he's too fat to be a wino. That's a great way to be described.
Yeah. But that joke of, I don't know, he must have brought it in on his own. Shit. God damn it, that's good. Funny. I also like the sight gag of him testing the diet pill, and they just have a conveyor belt full of food going by, and he's not taking any of it. And they're like, oh, the appetite suppressants are really working. And they get on the loudspeaker like, Homer, you're really not tempted to eat any of that food? And he goes, food? Oh, God, I'm blind. And starts freaking out. There's some good bits. There's some good jokes in here. At some point, they look at an X-ray, and it turns out he has a crayon submerged deep in his brain. And I loved the visual of, well, how did that get there? And it's him as a kid just counting the 16 crayons as he jams one at a time up his nose, and then like sneezes them all out but doesn't count them and just goes, oh, that's probably all of them. And then he's an idiot from there on out.
Yep. Oh, yeah, he got a whole container inside his head, right?
Yeah, all 16. That's pretty impressive. So they take out the crayon, and he shows up back at home with a sharp, like, sweater vest and tie look that he has going on. And he's smart now. We get a North Dakota reference, which we always love. He names Bismarck as the capital of North Dakota, and I like that. Like, he spits out a couple of smart things to prove that he's smart now, and each time the family all has to like look at Lisa for confirmation that he's right. So Bart and Marge are not the sharpest tools in the box either.
Yeah. Yeah, I do like that too. I like when it comes out that Lisa's really basically the only functioning adult in the family.
Yeah. At one point, he proves mathematically that there's no God and gives his sheet of paper, his formula to Flanders.
And Flanders' like reaction was so good. How it's like right away he's like politely dismissive. Then he takes a look at it close. He's like, "Oh man, this all adds up." And how matter of fact he accepts it. Yeah, like can't let this get out there.
Yeah. And then Homer ends up, maybe not inadvertently, but he ends up blowing the whistle on the plant and all their safety violations by mailing the feds and letting them know. And it's funny how quickly things flip, because Lenny and Carl go from like, hell yeah, smart Homer, awesome. And I think it's in this episode where Lenny and Carl, before Homer walks into the scene, are standing there drinking coffee, and just the nothing small talk. Lenny's like, is that your usual mug? Carl goes, yeah, that's the one. Oh, it looks bigger. Well, it's not. Like, just the dumbest fucking
so good
office banter. I hate fucking small talk. I'm so bad at it. So I
live for it.
I would be the guy being like, is that your usual mug? I'd be that fucking idiot.
If you take away small talk, I bring nothing else to an office environment.
I don't like it. I don't like it at all. Like, bring heavy talk if you want. Like, if I'm passing a coworker who I rarely see in the hallway, I would rather he be like, so do you think aliens are real? Like, I would rather have headier conversations than how about this weather? Like, fuck that.
Oh man, I can paint a masterpiece in pointless small talk.
Not me, man. I can't stand it. Homer goes to the bar where they're burning an effigy of him, which was fun. Everyone's mad at Homer for saying smart shit and like ruining it for them. My favorite, Mo, he's pissed at Homer because he thought that Dame Edna was a woman. And I laughed real hard at that. Holy shit. A Dame Edna reference. B, that Mo's pissed that Homer let slip that that's a man.
I was very happy about that reference.
Yeah, we get a few scenes of Homer being kind of a pariah around town. He goes to a theater. I think the title of the Julia Roberts film is Love is Nice, which is a perfect fake Julia Roberts movie title.
Yeah. One thing, when Homer's smart Homer and Lisa is just so over the moon with it, and she's helping Homer kind of like face reality now that he's smart. When they're in her bedroom and she's like, I made a graph. I make lots of graphs. That sums up Lisa so well. Just making graphs. Holy. Prom queens don't make graphs.
I loved that graph too because it's just a curve of as intelligence goes up, happiness goes down. And I was like, that's true. I have some friends that I'm shocked can dress themselves, and they're some of the happiest people I know.
The most content people,
Yeah. They don't worry about shit. So he's kicked out of the theater after breaking down how predictable and lame this Julia Roberts movie is. He walks into the house and says, quote, I'm a Spalding Gray in a Rick D's world. Holy shit. Oh my God. Fuck, that was funny. I laughed real hard at that one. Homer decides he's going to have the crayon put back. So he goes there. He goes to this is a weird choice, but he goes back to the testing place and tells him he wants the crayon put back in his head. And they give him, or maybe it's Hibbert, gives him the card for, well, we won't do this, but this guy will. And it's Mo. Why is it Mo?
Yeah, I don't know.
Why wouldn't it be Dr. Nick?
Yeah, that just seemed,
There's no reason
that thought out.
Yeah, there's no reason that Mo should be the discount surgeon.
Yeah, it doesn't fit his character at all.
Yeah, I don't know.
He's at the bar all the time.
Yeah, it was like maybe you just wanted that sight gag of Homer tied to the pool table. I don't know.
Yeah.
But in my head, if I were a Simpsons writer, that's Dr. Nick.
Yeah. Oh, we don't get much Dr. Nick anymore either.
Yeah. You have a character who's only there to be the shady backdoor doctor.
Yep. I made that exact same note. What did Dr. Nick do that he can no longer be on the show anymore?
Yeah. Was that voice actor out of town? I don't know.
Yeah.
But Mo puts the crayon back up Homer's nose into his brain. Homer comes home, dumb as a fucking post, and Lisa is heartbroken because her and her dad were getting along real well when he was smart, and now he's back to being dumb. And as Homer walks away, a letter falls out of his pocket that smart Homer had written to Lisa, some nice sweet letter about
that was a very nice ending.
When I was smart, I realized how great you were, and I love you very much, and all that.
Yeah.
And that's the ending.
We got a real good dad Homer ending, which those are nice.
Yeah, I'm pro, like we've said before, pro Homer and Lisa, good dad shit. So
yeah,
that was a pretty solid one.
Yeah, solid. I mean, not. I think there's a couple better ones coming up, but it was fine.
There's a couple. They were real hard laughs for me. Those fucking the Spalding Gray in a Rick D's world, and the fucking he must have brought that rat in with him. Holy shit! Those were I wasn't ready for how funny that was gonna be type laughs.
Yeah. On the subject of laughs, our next episode, Pokey Mom, I got some of my bigger laughs I've gotten out of the last couple seasons in this one. I was chuckling quite a bit.
Yeah, I'm finding, maybe this is better left for the wrap up at the end, but like, fuck it, we're right here. I am finding that I'm starting to care for, like, my favorite things about these episodes are no longer the thing that's happening in the episode. It's pretty much strictly the dialogue in the episode. Yeah. You know? Like I'm not, like, I didn't think, oh, Homer finds a crayon in his head and then becomes smart for an episode was that great of a premise. Yeah. But there was a ton of shit in there that I really liked.
On that note, we have one of the weakest premises of a Simpsons episode coming up pretty quick, but I don't think this is the episode. This one is Pokey Mom. Starts with an expo. Homer promised Marge to take her to the Apron Expo.
Yeah, a lot of conventions in this town.
Yeah. And here's a joke I didn't get. They all got their. We don't go in. It's just them leaving the expo, and they all have their aprons. And Bart has like a lead extra apron. He says, "And this lead apron will keep me safe downstairs." Is that just like a reference to his junk? Is that what that's supposed to be? What's the downstairs? It just seems like a poorly written joke.
I assume that it's meant to imply how filthy their basement is.
That's how
I took it anyway.
But their basement isn't that ridiculous. I don't know, man. Just to me, just seemed like a shit joke.
Or maybe he meant that it's going to protect his balls.
I don't need a 10-year-old boy talking about his genitals, man. I don't need that.
When Marge is hounding Homer to get out of bed that it's time because you said you would take me to this Apron Expo, she delivers maybe my favorite line of this whole episode, which is, "You and the kids always want to do fun stuff, but today we're doing something I like." Which means that even Marge realizes...
No, it's not fun.
Yeah, the things she likes aren't fun.
Yeah. I remember being a little kid and just assuming anything my mom wanted to do was punishment. Never realized it, because when you're real little, you struggle to put yourself in somebody else's shoes. Like, she likes looking at shoes. She likes looking at pants. I thought it was like I did something wrong. It was like a punishment. I remember just feeling like I was dying. Just like I would literally lay on the ground until I'd get violently picked up.
God, just a horrible kid you were.
Just laying there and repeating, "I'm dying, I'm dying." I am literally dying of boredom right now.
Jesus Christ, that shit would not have flown in my youth.
Oh, it didn't fly in my house. There were repercussions.
Yeah, you did it anyway.
Yeah.
I also, it's not, they don't draw a ton of attention to it, but I like that when they're driving away from the Apron Expo, everyone had fun but Marge.
Yep. She was just kind of disappointed on that year's apron. The updates on apron technology didn't do a whole lot for her. And
her reasoning is bonkers. She's like, "I was just kind of disappointed. There were too many aprons." It's like, what? What? That's the thing you would be going there for, I would assume.
Yeah, it is great how everyone else had a great time.
Oh, my God.
And I did think it was a good gag as they're just driving on the highway and Homer's just blathering on about something. How he delivers the line "prison rodeo" with like that just shocking level of excitement. Like he just pulls the e-brake and slides her car across the highway into that open gravel lot because he is not going to miss a prison rodeo.
Are prison rodeos a real thing, or is that just from that Gene Wilder, Richard Pryor movie?
Yep, I am pretty sure that is about all you'll ever see in real life. I think that's the limit to prison rodeos. I think it's just in 70s buddy comedies.
Was that Stir Crazy? Was that movie?
Oh man, I struggle to keep them.
One? I lose track of which Gene Wilder, Richard Pryor movie is which.
Fuck, they must have made at least 5 of them. Yeah, there was a pile.
Yeah.
I know Another You was the last one, and that's the one that's supposed to be nearly unwatchable. Like they definitely did not go out on top.
I remember liking is it See No Evil, Hear No Evil, where one's blind and the other's deaf?
Yep.
Yeah, that one's not
That's
bad.
a good premise, like on the subject of Bart saying things I don't want to hear. At one point, he is cheering on for the bull in the rodeo. He goes, "Go bull, toss his salad." That's not even like a clever joke. That's just saying something gross. I don't want to hear 10-year-old boys talking about eating ass. I don't need that, Marlon. I don't know who does. I think we should be worried about the people that need that. Jesus.
I don't see why you suddenly are so fucking judgy about what people are doing with each other's butts.
I think that maybe I'm old-fashioned, Marlon. I don't like young boys talking about sexual things. Maybe that's what people are into. Maybe that's what we've descended to as a society. But hey, I guess just me and all the other old timers will just not talk about 10-year-old boys.
I love how indignant and pedestally you get. I guess I just don't want to hear 10-year-olds talking about sex stuff, as if the rest of us are clamoring for it.
That's what the MTV Music Awards. That's all they talk about. So there's quite a few gags in the prison rodeo, and there's a very, very Texas-y, Western-y MC that's kind of running the whole thing. I think he is also the warden, and kind of like a few gags. But then there is a competitor that kind of catches Marge's eye. He just seems a little bit different than the rest of the typical prison people that you would expect to see. And then, so there is one inmate that catches Marge's eye, and he is part of the rodeo, and things just kind of go tits up in typical Simpsons fashion. Nothing works out. Like, the prison, the rodeo kind of ends in chaos. But Marge also notices this guy as they're walking away, and he has made a beautiful kind of collection of leaves into a sun. And he had to paint a painting of Jimi Hendrix when she's picking up Homer from the prison infirmary. And I believe he had to paint it in pudding because they don't give him any art supplies. I thought that was a great.
They're not allowed to give us art supplies, so I made it with pudding. Yeah.
And this kind of begins the B story of Homer's back going out. So. Because he was flung into the guard tower, which would destroy any other human. They would be pulp. But now Homer just has a bad back.
I also like that when that happens, the dozing guard in the guard tower just pepper sprays the shit out of people.
Just firing off canisters of pepper spray whenever he's alarmed at all.
Yeah. Just like, I remember when that was funny. When a fucking
I had an
person
aunt
of authority throwing canisters of pepper spray
that
into a crowd.
That used to not happen monthly.
Yeah.
I had an aunt that worked in a guard tower in a prison for 30 years.
Really?
She made a living, made a pretty good living for herself doing that. Somewhere in the South. So I think like 80% of our prisons is the South.
I have a couple of friends who've worked in prisons or at least jails, and they all have some fucking stories.
Well, for her, it was, she did work the block for a while, not a fun place to be, and then she got up in the tower, and right away I think it was okay because you could bring books and shit, and she's, 99.999% of your day is spent twiddling your thumbs. You're just there in case shit goes south, and boy, you sure hope it doesn't.
Like a firefighter.
Yep. Oh yeah. I bet you do not want to be in a prison riot when they realize, hey, I think no one's coming for those guys in the tower. It's not going to end well for you, probably. But she said, though, later in her career, there was some kind of law change, or I don't know if law or some regulation. They were no longer able to bring reading material into the tower. So for 8 hours, you would just stare out the window with nothing to entertain yourself with.
Man, fuck that.
Yeah.
How do you do that job without something?
I'm sure on this podcast I have said I can handle it. I love jobs where I have nothing to do. Just give me a wall to stare at. But boy, 8 hours a day of that would be a good challenge for me if I have what it takes. Like, But that's wild. Nothing to, because like what I don't get, it's like, prison riots aren't quiet. You'll know what's happening.
Right.
Like,
it'll startle you from your book.
Yeah, no one's fucking tiptoeing out of a federal penitentiary. It's not like you have to keep your eyes peeled. Like,
I think that would be a fun challenge for you to try, because I bet by the end of the day on Thursday of that first week, you start going full Apocalypse Now.
Yeah, either that or I would amaze and maybe sadden myself with my ability to adapt to it. If I had a comfy chair...
What if it turns out you love it?
Yeah.
Then what?
Yeah. Then it's like, well, fuck. Are you hired?
Yeah.
I think I have what it takes. I just stopped bringing a gun. I'm just going up there leaning against the wall for 8 hours. To the point I forget that that's my job. Gun? Oh, shit.
Nathan, you're going to have to start wearing that uniform we gave you. You can't just show up in jeans.
Yeah. It would start gradually, like it'd be t-shirt and dress pants, then t-shirt and jeans. And then eventually the same t-shirt, the neck hole would just get more and more stretched out. And eventually basketball shorts and flip-flops.
Yeah, that's how it always ends.
Oh, nah. I think you'd have to have tennis shoes. Who can climb a ladder in flip-flops?
I bet you could do it if you want it bad enough.
So Marge is still intrigued because, again, Marge, she mentions she went to art school. So she has a love of the arts. And she is, something in her has made it so she wants to help. She wants to be Michelle Pfeiffer to his, I don't know, inner city black teen. She wants to help break him out of this funk that he's in and get him out in the real world, which she does by kind of winning over the parole board with her macaroons, I believe it is.
Yeah, which, not a fan of a macaroon.
Oh, God, no, I'm with you, Marlon.
A macaroon is a lie. Like, you look at a macaroon and you're like, I know how that's going to taste and feel in my mouth. And you're wrong. It's like styrofoam. It's bullshit.
Yep. I mean, like, I'd rather eat that than, like, just a fucking radish right out of the garden. But still, yeah, it's not very good.
I don't know, man. I love a radish. I might just eat a radish.
Yeah, I don't dislike radishes, but we can't go down a radish rabbit hole. We've subjected our dear listeners to so much already. Our favorite root vegetables.
Easily my number 2 source of potassium behind bananas.
Yeah. What do we think? Are we thinking turnip? Are we thinking rutabaga?
I like just a red radish out of the garden, just sliced up on a salad. Yeah. Pickled radish. I'll get down on a rutabaga, though. You chop it, you put it in some...
Oh, man. Yeah, rutabaga is
stews.
versatile.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, goodness, yeah. But Marge is... Marge's first attempt at helping
really
reform...
That ripcord.
is she decides to start teaching an art class. And the best is right when she's about to start, that guy immediately, can I smell your clothes?
Yep.
And then the artist guy's like, show her some respect. This one's not for smelling.
And then that creeper dude immediately asks, well, can I smell your clothes?
Yeah, he just wants to smell somebody.
Yeah.
But the art class, she doesn't mind. What she wants is to get him out so he can be out in the world and the world can see his artwork. And she does. Again, I kind of got ahead of myself. She starts sweet talking with her macaroons, gets him. So he does get paroled, even though he murdered somebody. Which Marge's ability to look past fucking red flags. We really see now how she ended up marrying Homer. If she's determined to do something, she will look past all the obvious consequences of her actions.
Yeah, if she intends to see the good in somebody, that's what she's gonna fucking do.
Like, he casually mentions that he might have killed a couple too. Like, so he might have murdered multiple people.
Yeah, that old farm couple he mentions in passing.
Yeah. I got a good laugh out of that.
That guy Jack is that character's name, Jack Crowley. By the way, voiced by Michael Keaton.
Yeah. Oh, good call. Yeah.
Who was not doing a lot else at this time, I don't think.
Yeah, this is a weird time in his career. Yeah, he kind of had 5 to 7 year where he didn't have a whole lot, maybe more than that even. Didn't have a whole lot going on.
Yeah.
So Marge moves him into the basement, the Jack, where he's going to get a job. He eventually, tries to get into society, rehabilitate, all that fun stuff. But he ends up getting a job with the school, and they hire him to paint a mural. And he has some ideas. Skinner, though, poo-poos all of his ideas. He paints a pretty kick-ass mural, but he wants something a little more family-friendly, and that's kind of where the animosity builds.
It looks like a heavy metal magazine cover.
Yeah, it's pretty rad. I would have really been happy to have that in my goddamn grade school. I've been pretty thrilled.
You could paint that on a van, and it would look fucking baller.
I would drive that van with pride. Meanwhile, Homer is just still in suffering because I don't know if you've ever had back issues. They are life altering. They suck so much.
Yeah, no, I've been pretty lucky.
So Homer goes to Dr. Hibbert to see what's wrong. He shows a very hilarious X-ray. Homer's spine is shattered, like a dropped wine glass. And Dr. Hibbert says, your spine's more twisted than Sinbad's take on marriage. And God, I laugh because I think it's been discussed before. You and I both big proponents of Sinbad.
Yeah, we have both discussed on this show our love for Sinbad.
And I don't have to ask this question because if you have not had many back issues, you've probably not spent a whole lot of time at a chiropractor then.
No, I never have. I certainly grew up thinking they were quacks, because that's what everyone's dad thought, Yeah. I'd imagine that they are not. I bet they do fine work. I have just never found myself needing one, which
I think
I'll
often
call myself lucky.
They lean towards quackery. A lot of the chiropractors I know, but hey, man, when you have specific back issues, they are the problem solver. But there's a gag in this episode where they ask, "Oh, okay, thank you. What's next?" Oh, you have to visit me 1 to 2 weeks, for the rest of your life. That's
three times a week for several years.
Several years.
Yeah.
That's a vague term. Several years.
And that's what I think of when I think of chiropractors are quacks. Is the problem's never fixed. But you know what? That's the way a lot of fucking medicine is.
Yep. So he's kind of, and then it doesn't even work. He's pretty the chiropractor, they that was all just a sham. It's in worse pain than ever. I think him and Bart, are they in the garage working on something?
They're in the backyard raking leaves.
That's what it is, yeah. And Homer ends up falling. He wraps his body around a metal garbage can. It looks agonizing. But yet, it somehow cures his back pain issues.
Yeah, it stretched him out and popped everything just right to where
he feels like $1 million. And the best is he down thinking, hey, I've got some kind of answer for back pain. This trash can's going to fix spines.
And he talks about it like it's an invention of his, this fucking trash can.
Yeah, that's what's so ridiculous about it. And maybe my favorite scene is when it cuts to it's late at night in the garage and he is holding Mo like an invalid. He's helping him get into the bathtub. And all you hear is, careful, I'm frail. And he uses the garbage can to work its magic on Mo. And 2 people stop by hey, we're with so-and-so. We're really interested in your garbage can technology. Okay, sure. And they just grab it and they hustle out of there, even though they slip underneath the sliding door, the garage door.
Yeah.
Only chiropractors can bend like that. And he goes outside to see them destroying his garbage can, and they peel out of there.
Yeah, they've mangled his can.
And he's sobbing next to his garbage can, and Mo leans over. Forget about it, Homer. It's Cairo Town, which is such a ridiculous reference that I really appreciated.
Yeah, I laughed at that one too.
Yeah. So then we get back to the Marge, the main story that the Jack is really struggling. He does what he's told. He's a company man. He paints this namby-pamby, cartoons dancing with children, school logo, and then they unveil it at some kind of community event. And everyone's like, well, this is lame. This is not cool at all. This is very boring. And Skinner, that piece of shit that he is, rolls on fucking Jack and like, oh yeah, this is terrible. Why didn't you do what I told you to do? And Jack is like, Jack has lost it. That old prison rage comes out.
Can't blame him. That was real shitty of Skinner.
Yeah. So
he just flips immediately.
Yeah. So he blows a second chance and well, he immediately lies to Marge to convince him that he's in. Then he fucking starts, Skinner's car on fire and tries to lie that he didn't. Marge witnessed it happen, which I got such a kick out of.
Yeah.
And then Marge realizes, you know what, this guy shouldn't be in the outside world. So they have a decent parting. They both understand. Like he understands, but maybe I'm not ready for outside living yet. And it ends with him and Chief Wiggum leaving. You know, obviously Jack's in the back of the squad car, and they're fucking talking about TV. They get talking about cable, and he's like, yeah, I sure like that Sports Center. And Wiggum goes, yeah, I never got that show. He's like, what's to get? They're just showing the scores. Fuck, I died.
Yeah.
That is such a great response to, yeah, I like Sports Center. Yeah, I never got that show. Like that is because that's the part. Like, what is there to get, man? It's just sports highlights.
Yep, it's just the scores.
Oh, fuck. And then he brings up some other HBO show after already telling them they don't get premium cable in prison.
Yeah, I already told you. We don't get, we just have basic.
Because at first he asks us about Oz. He's like, yeah, we don't get HBO. We only have basic cable. Then like fucking 45 seconds later, you get into that Sopranos? Like, I just told you. So I enjoyed this episode quite a bit.
Yeah, me too. I was pretty hot on this one. I really liked the Sports Center joke, especially.
Yeah, holy fuck. Yeah, I never got that. Like, what the heck? What are you fucking talking about, you fucking idiot?
There's not a plot for you to follow. What the fuck?
It's like say the same thing about the news. Like, I never got that show. Like,
I like that when they unveil that fucking soft ass lame mural, even Ned in the crowd goes, "This is sugary even for me." I was like, "Oh, if Ned Flanders thinks something is lame, hoo boy,
yeah,
you're
struggling."
Done it, yeah." Episode number 11 is worst episode ever.
I will go on record. I really enjoyed this episode as well.
Yeah, not bad. I'm going to be remembering things as we read through here, because off the top of my head, I'm just like, yeah, that was good, but I couldn't really tell you why just now. I like that we get Homer eating baking soda and enjoying all of the tastes and smells of a million meals past, which is disgusting. I can't imagine.
I like Homer or like Bart like betting against his own father and rooting while watching it like he's watching bum fights. You know, he's just degrading Homer. But he's also a smart cookie. He knows Homer ain't gonna win, and he wins $50.
Yep, and he takes his $50 out, and he and Milhouse go out on a spending spree, and they immediately go to the Quickie Mart and just show Apu, a grown man. They show Apu a $50 bill, and he's so taken aback that he locks the door and gives them a private guided shopping experience. Holy shit. And like, oh, are you opposed to things that are crispy filled? Oh, not at all. Like, it's very, like, Rodeo Drive shit.
Yeah, like a sommelier.
Yeah.
Just trying to learn their palate.
Yeah, God, that was fucking funny. We cut to the kids outside who have gorged themselves. There's chocolate and wrappers everywhere, and Bart like falls down onto his back and is just like, "Oh, I ate too much raw bacon," which I cannot imagine a worse thing to eat than raw bacon.
Oh, yeah.
That was fucking that was the that was vividly gross.
And part of it, like, why would the Quickie Mart even have that? Like,
I mean, some like gas stations and stuff have
that's true.
Have the half-assed grocery aisle or the section of the cooler. Like, I always think that when I go to a gas station, I'm like, who buys their detergent here? That can't be fiscally responsible.
Yeah.
But I suppose it's, I need it in a pinch kind of shit.
A $3 roll of toilet paper.
Yeah. I'm going to use every square, damn it.
I'm folding.
Millhouse takes the reins of their spending splurge, and it's them in their underwear at the laundromat.
Oh God, I laughed.
Holy shit, so did I. They're just staring at their clothes in the washing machine, and Millhouse is going, Mom doesn't believe in fabric softener, but she's not here now, is she? Shaking the bottle.
That laugh he lets out too is so good. And of course, wearing My Little Pony tighty whities.
Yep. And then Bart, completely stone-faced flat, just goes, I get to pick the next thing. And the next thing is they go to the android's dungeon. They go to the comic book shop because they want to pick out they want to buy the new Radioactive Man, number 1000. Hell of a run that Radioactive Man has had.
Shit, huh?
But I guess, like, it was a cartoon or a TV show in the 50s we've already established.
Oh, good call. Good catch, yeah. Makes
sense,
I
guess. It
guess.
Been a comic before that, and they must have never done a reboot, like a restart. So, issue 1000. I like that comic book guy gives a demonstration that if you pour something on it, it jumps to a lesser comic, and it soils this comic next to it.
Yeah. Which is a Matt Groening comic, which I liked.
Oh, is it? That's funny.
Yeah.
And it costs $25, but they only have 15 left of their 50 after the Quickie Mart and the fabric softener. And Martin's mom comes in and is just like, my son is taking a nap, so I thought I'd sell some of his stuff from the basement, which is such a funny idea that she's like, oh, now's my chance. And she sets it up there like, would you give me any money for any of these? And comic book guy's losing his shit because it's like Star Wars alternate ending. Luke's father is Chewbacca. And like all this extremely rare shit that anyone would pay thousands of dollars to have. And he offers Martin's mom $5, and she's ready to take it, except the boys, Bart and Millhouse, jump in and let her know, like, hey, this stuff is worth thousands of dollars. Don't sell it for $5.
Yeah.
So they cock-block comic book guy on that, and he takes their Polaroid, and they are banned from the store for life. Bart is all sad that he can't go to the comic book store anymore, and he's explaining it to Homer, and Homer reminisces about, oh, I remember my first lifetime ban, and he was a kid in the 70s, like, he swipes the watermelon off of Gallagher's stool before he can hit it and eats it, and so he's banned from all Gallagher shows.
Yeah, I enjoyed the Gallagher appearance, and also, as we all know by now, Gallagher, epic piece of shit.
Yep, huge garbage person. So, not going to his shows is no punishment.
Yeah.
Next, we're at the comic book shop because Tom Savini is making an appearance there. Motherfucking Tom Savini, who I really like, and didn't think that he looked like Tom Savini in The Simpsons at all.
Nope.
Like, I feel like most of their drawings you can look at and be like, yeah, that's who that's supposed to be. Unless maybe at this point Tom Savini didn't look like I know Tom Savini to look.
I had a friend that went to Tom Savini's like makeup effects school in Pennsylvania, I think in Pittsburgh, and said, Tom Savini, nice guy, very vain, very hung up on his appearance.
Huh.
Really big into plastic surgery. May have unironically got calf implants.
Well, you spend your money how you want.
So if you're ever wondering if his calves look good, that's why. He earned it. He did some cool shit. Now he's cashing in on that cool shit.
Yeah, that fellow was in from dusk till dawn. He can do what he wants.
Getting some 16-year-old fucking calves.
Yeah, make him look like he can fucking jump on a table.
Look like a fucking high school lacrosse player.
I like that his talk at the comic book shop is kind of just him doing practical effects stunts. He's like a stage magician almost.
Yeah. Well, yeah. God, fucking, they have really ratcheted up how shitty of a human that fucking comic book guy is.
Oh
it's
my
so
God,
great.
he's insufferable.
Just
holy shit.
Worst.
Yeah, and most of Tom Savini's shenanigans on stage are aimed at the comic book guy, and comic book guy is freaking out and he's gonna ban everybody, and then clutches his chest and collapses and has a fucking heart attack.
Yeah. Also, is he getting fatter? Because
yep, I think so.
I also think the same with Hibbert. Hibbert got fatter at one point too.
I think the same of Wiggum too. Like, I think all their fat characters are now
Wiggum.
Fat.
Yep. Yeah, Wiggum has gotten bigger. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of.
Like, Wiggum is just straight up round now.
Yeah, he is implausibly shaped. Like, I want to see his bone structure when he dies. Like, an eccentric millionaire needs to buy his remains.
So comic book guy is in the hospital. He's had a heart attack. Hibbert wants him to
God,
take it easy for a while.
When he is explaining to him that he should have one of his friends run the comic book shop, how he is just confused by the idea of friendship. It's like, do you mean action figures? Like, the idea of having friends doesn't even register in his brain.
Yeah, he's just like a blank stare when he's like, you should have a friend run your store.
Yeah.
A what now? Like...
He's like, and he's not even being sarcastic. He's just like, explain this to me. You mean like action figures? It's a very lonely man.
Yeah, and Bart and Milhouse volunteer for the job, so they're gonna run the comic book store.
Yeah. Oh man, in the comic shop when they are there, there's an issue of a comic called The Death of Sad Sack, which is such a ridiculous. Sad Sack was this World War II era military comedy. Oh my, like comic book character that's so Jesus Christ, that's a ridiculous reference to make. Even though the quality of the show might be going down, the insane references are still top notch. So, tip of the cap.
I saw that cover because one of the bullies is looking at it and thought, I bet Nathan gets that. I don't, but I assume that any like weird comic strip or comic reference you're going to get.
I don't know if I still do, but at one point in my life, I owned multiple Sad Sack comics.
Oh, shit. I also like that the bully, it's the bald one, I don't know any of their names, but the bully who's going to be buying the Death of Sad Sack comic is just like, I hope it's not another bait and switch again. Like, because that's what fucking comic books were doing at the time.
Yeah.
Now we have Homer and comic book guy like out trying to make friends. Homer takes him to Moe's and he's just like, yeah, this is where everyone goes. It's a super friendly place. And he opens the door as Moe has a shotgun pointed at a man going, get out of here and take your Sacagawea dollars with you. and then shoots him.
And I believe he is one of the two nameless barflies that are always there.
Yeah, the one with the hat. Like, it's a character we've seen before. And Moe shoots him with a shotgun because he tried to use a Sacagawea dollar.
And the best is, this is right around the time those were a thing. This is this is like early 2001, I bet. I guarantee if you drove by a Coke machine in a parking lot, it had a big yellow sticker with an arrow that pointed at now taking Sacagawea dollars.
Yep, and I certainly had a few in my time. I must have gotten rid of them somewhere, but man, that did not take off.
Man, we try every 20 years or so. Like in 1980, that's when the Susan B. Anthony dollars came out. You don't ever even see them anymore. And then the Sacagawea coins, and then just 5 years ago, they tried to do those presidential dollar coins.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for whatever reason, we're wired to like paper money.
Yeah, and they keep mentioning that it would save money because coins don't wear out like dollar bills do. Why don't we? Every other country has a dollar coin, but USA, baby, we like our paper dollars.
Yeah, we're gonna measure things in feet and gallons and use paper money.
The sign that I should have teenage children by now is that I get an unbelievably big kick out of getting the old design dollar bills or any kind of currency, from the late 90s.
Big face new currency.
The little face. Yeah. I should have a sullen teenage daughter that I point to, hey, look at this. Look at that, Andrew Jackson, the head's way smaller. And just put it back in my wallet and smile, and she just glares at me with this white-hot hatred that I'm completely oblivious to. That should be me.
The rest of the world loves coins. What's wrong with us?
Canada loves coins.
Yeah.
They're way more pragmatic. That's also why they all switched to the metric system, because it makes way too much sense.
Yeah. The older I get, the more I'm like, yeah, we ought to be on the metric system.
Yeah, the freaking, the standard system comes back to a time when everyone's heads were misshapen and their brains were the size of walnuts and they're drinking booze that's 1/3 ink. These were not healthy, well-rounded people.
Yeah, but no, that's how we did it, and we're never going to let go.
See, you're probably too young. Anyone that's around my age that's listening to this, they probably remember. I think I caught the tail end of it. When I was in kindergarten, first grade, they were really pushing the metric system. I think that was a mid-'80s thing that they really tried to do a full court press. Let's try to get this to catch on. Because I remember getting a lot of metric shit thrown at us when I was really little, and then being in the fourth grade, so are we done with the metric shit? Why are we studying that stuff so much? It doesn't seem like we're gonna even bother with it anymore. But they really did push that hard for a hot minute.
It's too bad they couldn't have kept that going.
Yeah, think of that.
I would have liked that.
Someone your age, you would have just been taught metric, and that would just be how you pictured everything.
Yeah,
you just fit in with the rest of the world. But no.
But no, you got to know 12 inches in a foot and 5,280 feet in a mile. How about just tens and hundreds? That's all we need.
Wouldn't that be simple? You would think.
Comic book guy not welcome at Moe's because he doesn't want to drink beer because he feels like it's beneath him and shit. Comic book guy never going to fit in at Moe's anyway.
Just a shithead.
So they throw him out.
I did like, too, that the bottles behind the bar are just painted on.
Yeah, because that's what he orders. He wants a shot of watermelon schnapps or something lame like that. And Moe's just these are just painted on.
Yeah. Such a great thing to find out. It's we have beer and beer.
Yeah.
And they throw him out, and he slides. It's so ridiculous.
Yeah, he slides the way a hockey player slides on the he looks like a hockey player who slipped coming to a stop.
Oh, that was good.
Back at the comic book shop, Milhouse is doing all of the work, of course, and Bart is just being the boss. And Bart leaves him alone for a bit, and a smooth-talking comic book publisher shows up.
Oh. So great.
And sells Milhouse on Biclops, a superhero who wears glasses.
If you look at the cover, it's basically a muscular Milhouse fighting somebody, and the little dialogue balloon says, "That's for making me cry." Which is so great.
Milhouse, of course, taken by this and buys 2,000 copies of Biclops.
Kind of in a weird attempt to impress Lisa, too.
Yeah, because he has this brief little noir fantasy of her going like, I need a man who doesn't take anything from anyone. And then, is like, I'll take 2,000 and winks at Lisa and she recoils.
Yeah. I think it might be coming up later. I just want to mention that I forget. It's something about like talking about like Bart is just blown away that he would think this is a good investment. Like it's something about girls, and Milhouse is like he's kind of afraid of girls.
Yeah,
like his lore should already be known.
Yeah, they're having their scuffle. Bart is pissed that he spent all of their money on Biclops and that no one's ever gonna fucking buy these things. Pretty sure it's Bart mentions, I can't believe you bought 2,000 copies of a comic book put out by LensCrafters.
Yeah. You're right. I forgot to note that joke, but Christ did I laugh when I heard it. Oh man, you knew a comic book was going to be lame if it had any kind of tie-in like that. Like,
oh yeah, if it were like a sponsored product.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I still own a comic that we were given in school, a Spider-Man comic about like the perils of fire safety. It's like Spider-Man fighting Smoke Man. It's like make
awesome.
sure you have the fire alarms up to code so you can defeat Smoke Man if I'm not around.
That's fucking perfect. I love that kind of garbage.
I also own a couple copies of a Kool-Aid Man comic book that was part of some kind of Kool-Aid advertising in the early 90s.
I recently got a hold of whatever comics were still left over from my youth and brought them home, and boy, I was reading a lot of real soft comics when I was reading comics, Nathan. A lot of wacky racers, a lot of Cartoon Network branded comic books.
Oh, no kidding! Like actual Cartoon Network like entities in comic book form.
Yeah, a lot of HannaBarbera stuff that is probably printed in the late 90s, early 2000s.
Interesting.
And they all have the Cartoon Network branding on them. So,
who do you think were publishing them? Any idea?
All right, I grabbed a couple here. There's Cartoon Network presents Wacky Races from June of '98, and Cartoon Network Scooby-Doo August '97. Cartoon Network starring Cow and Chicken from June of 2000. And DC was putting those out.
Oh, interesting.
They all have the DC logo on them. DC. I was, looking back, was not reading a lot of cool shit back then, apparently. Because there are a number of Sonic the Hedgehog comic books in that pile as well.
Those Archie brand Sonics?
Yep. Also, one Archie and one Richie Rich, which I have set aside for you.
Oh, I do enjoy some Archie.
I know how you roll. But yeah, I'd have been, 97, 98? I'd have been 12, 13 years old. I don't even know where these came from. I couldn't tell you who was selling comics near me. I don't think that was a real thing.
From like a Senex, had like a couple comics on their magazine rack or something like that.
That's my guess is grocery store, like in Bismarck or something.
Yeah, back in the day when you could buy comics at a grocery store. What a time to be alive.
Good times. Milhouse finally snaps and he and Bart fight. There's a fun bit where they fight each other with Transformers. One turns into an axe, but the one Milhouse grabs turns into a fucking watering pot. Yeah.
Oh my God, I about died. So good.
And as they're fighting, they crash through a She-Hulk poster, which, Shawshank Redemption style, covers a massive hole in the wall that leads to Comic Book Guy's secret video room. where he has apparently just thousands of like bootleg tapes and confessional footage from the police department.
My favorite, and the one maybe they emphasize the most, is that like 1950s like military like a video where they talk about how Springfield is going to be the city they'll nuke to calibrate their weapons.
Yeah.
It's so great.
And the gruff general in the video shoots the cameraman at the end of it to preserve secrecy.
Yeah.
My first thought was, I bet that a lot of the videos in Comic Book Guy's secret video room are horrifying.
Oh,
and those
my
kids
God.
should not get a hold of them.
No. Or think of the people that are normally in that basement with him.
Mm-hmm.
Not people that should be, they should lock that basement and just never speak of let them starve to death down there.
I
Those
for
are
one
not
don't
good
think
people.
I don't think Comic Book Guy invites anyone down there. There's only one chair and he doesn't have any friends.
That's true. Yeah, that is true. I just picture that there's a handful of other creepy Comic Book Guy type people that maybe he. But you're right. He really struggled with the concept of friendship. So
we see Comic Book Guy. He bumps into Skinner's mom at like a make friends class that he's gonna go to or something like that, and they start laying into each other, and then Mrs. Skinner kinda into Comic Book Guy.
yeah, she's not horsing around at all.
And we have Comic Book Guy picking her up for a date, and then we follow them on the date. It's just them sharing a distaste for things and ruining people's days. Like,
They're just shit people.
yeah, like they walk past an open fire hydrant that the kids are prancing in, and he takes out a wrench, which first off, I don't think Comic Book Guy carries a wrench, and closes the fire hydrant to ruin their day.
The Pentagon had a wrench. You need to open a fire hydrant.
I was about to ask, why do you know that? But then I forget that you worked for the city back home at some point.
So to say that it's a peculiar size wrencher, that you would need to open that, at least in most cities. But yeah, boy, that's an esoteric deep dive.
Is it metric?
Yeah. I think that's a one size fits all. I think if you get the hydrant skeleton key, you can basically turn into a supervillain. You just cause chaos in every city. Man, you know what one of the perks of that job? In the summertime, about once a month or once every 6 weeks or so, we would get paid overtime. You had to work overnight. You know what we did? It was called flushing hydrants. You would just crack open the hydrant to pump out all the poison black water that builds up. And that's because of the water system of my hometown. And just sit there, you and another guy, and wait for the water to go clear. Close it up, go to the next. Sometimes they would literally, one hydrant could take hours.
Oh,
yeah.
What kind of water is in your town?
Let's not talk about it. Yeah.
Hours.
A lot of rust builds up.
That's not hours. That's not hours of a trickle. That is hours of a fucking fire hydrant.
To the point where we would hook up like a camper TV with a VCR. I remember watching Reservoir Dogs beginning to end, and then I kind of think what the other movie was, but while just look up every 15 minutes. Oh, that water's still black. We got to get that out of there. And then, it's clear now. We're good.
Jesus.
I just remember thinking because I was getting paid overtime, so that meant time and a half. That meant I'm at $9 an hour, Marlin.
Oh shit!
So that was a pretty big deal for old Nate Wolfsbach.
I envisioned you hiking up your pants at that statement. I don't want to brag, but
there's a reason I am wearing Levi's silver tabs. I'm doing quite well financially.
If you had suspenders, you'd have your thumbs in them right now.
And I gotta jump another backstory here. Well, we talked about the creepy guys that could possibly be in the basement of what's his name's Comic Book Guy's video dungeon. I used to work at a very rural hotel /bar / off sale / steak pit. Like basically everything a sad single man could want.
/ tire service. Yeah.
And I always worked the hotel / off sale. A good friend of mine worked the bar part of it. And on the quiet Wednesday midweek nights, we would have random truckers that would just sick of sleeping in their truck. They'd get a cheap hotel room in Botno, just spend the night. And my friend had a couple of, I don't know, business partners that would stop there every month, and they would exchange pornographic VHS tapes together. So these very terrifying looking haggard truckers with always in big paper grocery sacks that were very beat up would just drop a heavy thud of a bag full of VHS tapes, and then they'd be, oh, does he have mine? And say, yeah, man, I think they're on the stairwell. And he'd go pick up a box of porn tapes, just smiling ear to ear, and go off into his truck to have sex with a mattress or whatever. Let's hope it's an inanimate object. And I just remember thinking, like, and I asked my buddy, what are you doing, man? He's like, I don't know, these guys have some good shit. This is before the internet was everywhere, you know? Like, it's like, you know, he is putting those into a sack with the cummiest hands imaginable. Like, and you're just raw dogging these tapes. Like,
I hope you're hosing those down first.
Yeah, like, you should have the tongs Homer uses when he handles uranium in the beginning of The Simpsons. Like, do not touch that. Don't bear back those VHS tapes.
What's that machine where you put your hands into the container?
Yep.
That's what you need.
Oh, God. And he would talk about the subject matter of some of these tapes.
Yeah, I'd imagine secondhand trucker porn is some pretty spicy material.
Yeah. These men have been very blunted by the cudgel of pornography.
It was probably a treat if you found one that was in English.
Yeah. No one's smiling. Everyone looks confused. They're not quite aware that a movie is being made. A lot of mentally handicapped people probably don't have someone in their best interest running things.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. I witnessed part of one, and oh boy, yeah. I was like, you know what? First off, it's 1 p.m. on a Sunday. This is not the time to be viewing this. I'm gonna bow out.
You're just traumatized like Matthew McConaughey watching that video in True Detective.
Yeah, I start have my hair in a wispy ponytail.
Drinking a whiskey, just, oh God, I gotta get it out.
Staring off into the distance.
The boys have a bright idea. They're going to host a film festival at the secret video dungeon in the comic book shop and charge kids $5 to come in and watch whatever they're finding on Comic Book Guys' secret stash. And while they're doing that, the fucking cops show up and raid the place. And they are gonna arrest the boys, but they explain that this is Comic Book Guys. We cut to Comic Book Guy and Agnes Skinner in bed together.
Oh boy.
Just a nice post-coital scene with Skinner's mom and the Comic Book Guy.
I don't like Skinner's mom with her hair down. I'll say that right now.
Not a fan?
Nope.
I don't like Comic Book Guy in a bathrobe.
Yeah, that's true too. My thinking though was it could have been worse. There could have been far worse options than him in a bathrobe.
My thinking was good for them.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm kind of glad they found each other, but God, they're just such reprehensible people.
Yeah, and the cops bust in and take Comic Book Guy away and shut down the store, and that's kind of the end of it. We see the boys leaving the store, and Flanders driving with a radioactive chimp that had been mentioned earlier on his... one of the tapes is him ratting on Homer for releasing a radioactive chimp in his house. And that's it.
It took me a couple seconds to get that reference, too. I was like, oh, yep, this was talked about earlier.
Yeah, just it's barely brought up earlier, and then they end the episode on it. Solid one. I dug this one quite a bit, too.
These last two.
I'm finding the longer this show goes on, and at this point you can't now because it's been too long, but I wish they would give comic book guy a name.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. It's like they've went too far down this road to change it now. I went to grad school with a guy and I could never think of his name, so I always called him Gus. I don't know why I called him Gus. Just one day he was Gus, to the point that everyone in my friend circle started calling him Gus, to the point we would have to remind ourselves we don't call him Gus around other people because that's not his fucking name. His name was like fucking Kevin or something like that. But for some reason, one day I couldn't think of it. He became Gus, and he's still Gus to me. I literally cannot think of his real name right now.
I have that with friends too, with nicknames, where it's like, oh yeah, I forget that sometime your name is Joseph, you know?
Yeah. not shithead or whatever nickname he has.
I've been calling you fuck nut for 20 years.
My grandmother calls me fuck nut.
You think that says that on my birth certificate?
There was a guy in my hometown that he was so known by his nickname of Pork Chops. If you looked in the phone book, it said Pork Chops.
Awesome. Perfect.
His real name was in parentheses behind Pork Chops.
Yep, pretty sure we had a few of those growing up too.
Which I love, as if there were multiple pork chops. You got to make sure you're calling the right one.
Pork Chop is a fucking great, like, rural nickname.
Yep. Yeah, I think he had that name. He was destined for pork choppery at a very young age. I think he was pork chops as a teenager, which was awesome.
Yeah, we had a Cooter back home whose name was definitely not Cooter, but if you called him anything else, no one would know who you're talking about.
Yeah, oh, God, yeah. Is that something that's dying off? Maybe in different areas it's still a thing, but I don't think we have nicknames like we used to. Yeah, my hometown had just a mess of them. I can think of a slewfoot. I can think of a stork. Oh man.
Slewfoot is really unfortunate.
I'm trying to think of some of them. You got to watch because of the racial overtones.
The bullying in my school, so many people had unflattering nicknames. There was a kid in the grade above me. He went his entire elementary, junior high, and high school career just being called Tits, and like that's a rough, unfortunate one.
I don't think he wanted to be called Tits.
I don't think he came up with it, but no, like. I just think, boy, I bet he was glad to get to college.
Yeah. Oh, there's so many kids like that. It's like, man, just grit your teeth. You're gonna be surprised how quickly this time flies by. I assure you.
It'll get better someday. Yeah. High school's a nightmare.
You ain't gotta be tits forever. So much of us saying that for him at the graduation.
It wasn't
Go ahead. Some fucking person on the school staff that does not sing. You were just tasked with this chore. It's just a shitty recording. He has to have on a little fucking tape player that they set on a chair on the stage. He's just out there singing these lyrics that he has not memorized. You do not have to be tits forever. You can follow your dreams. Have tits if you want to. Just really nervous.
I'm guessing that when Katy Perry's Firework came out in his adulthood, that it really changed his life. Really got a hold of him.
Yeah. So really, just anyone can do this? Yep.
Katie, I do sometimes feel like a paper bag.
Oh, good times. You don't have to have tits forever. Fucking that's cracking me up. Just picturing a really bashful 50-year-old shop teacher and like a hot, dusty Memorial Day Sunday, 20 to 50 people on folding chairs. Jesus Christ, there's only 4 of you. You obviously know which kid is tits. You don't have to have tits forever. Whose fucking idea would that be? Just some overzealous parent that thinks they're helping when they're just putting a bow on that kid's nightmarish adolescence. You know what I didn't want to have happen at graduation, Mrs. Gunderson? Everyone acknowledged that I have boobs. I really could have done without that.
Fuck.
Well, maybe we should change lyrics. There doesn't need to be a song. It's not a lyric issue. Okay, episode 12.
My grandparents were here for this.
What did they think of the song? I didn't ask him what they thought about the song. Again, you're dwelling on the wrong issue here.
Well, your dad thought it was funny. Yeah, of course he fucking did, okay?
I was half surprised it wasn't his idea.
Where do you think the name came from?
Well, how's Tits doing nowadays, you think?
I don't know. I fell out of touch with Tits. Fuck.
Still an outlaw.
Which, man, if that had been intentional, that would have been a hell of a joke. But
that could be the ballad. That could be the next single. I fell out of touch with titties.
Oh, shit.
Oh, God damn it.
I'm going to assume he's fine.
Is he still around your hometown?
I don't know. I genuinely have no idea.
God,
I wouldn't have been if I were him.
I hope he lives in like Miami or in fucking Vietnam or somewhere a long ways away.
I hope he made it. I hope he went on and made it.
I hope he accomplished his dreams.
Yeah, I hope he wrote a Broadway musical about the whole thing.
Episode 12, Tennis the Menace. This is the episode I'm referring to when I am like, holy shit, they are out of ideas. Could you imagine the pitch meeting, Marlin? Hey, guys, how about the Simpsons get a tennis court in their backyard? The level of excitement that generates is so amazing. It's like, fuck it. Sure. Why not?
I think that one was written at the bottom of the list on the whiteboard, thinking they would never get to it. But then as somewhere in the writing process, they were like, fuck, we're going to have to do this fucking tennis episode,
just
aren't
getting
we?
Panicky. Yep. Oh, God damn it. What is it? It's August already?
And the one dude who pitched it is just like, we could do the tennis one every week. And it's like, no, maybe next week. They just keep pushing it away.
Well, here you go, Daryl. You win. So the episode starts with the Simpsons heading to the old folks' home to watch the old folks' talent show, which, I don't know, there's some gags. They're not that good.
No, I don't know. Like Abe doing What's New Pussycat, but the whoa, whoa, whoa is just his pain sounds.
Yeah. I guess I did enjoy the plate spinning because of just how entranced Homer was by it. Like,
oh, get that one. Oh, that one's starting to wobble now. Yeah, that was funny.
That was probably the best of the bunch for me.
Yeah, the stand-up one was, I don't know, I thought it was mildly funny.
Yeah, and none of it was like insulting. It was just like, well, we're not getting any bangers, like right off the bat. But and this is just a way for them to steer into discussing what they're going to do with Abe when he dies.
Yeah, because he wins a free autopsy in the talent show.
Let's get this cashed in right away. So they get a tour of the funeral home and even like the cemetery, which I don't think that's how it works. I don't think it's all in one stop and shop. But like they're throwing all these ideas, or they make some gags on some new technology, like a camera inside the coffin. And they're pitching him all the more extravagant stuff, which I'm sure they do at a funeral home.
I'm sure. There's a joke with the cadaver camera where Homer's like, does this do picture in picture? Oh, of course it does. And so it's just a picture of Bart stuck in the coffin up in the corner while they're watching a basketball game. And I wrote it down because it's the most dad thing to say about the sport of basketball. Homer just goes, they never call traveling anymore.
Yeah.
That is the most old man shit when it comes to basketball.
As I get older, I agree with him. It drives me up the goddamn wall.
Nathan, you've got to fight that. You have to fight it, buddy.
They are on the right side of history. Sometimes you got to acknowledge when the old people are right. They don't call palming. They don't call traveling. They're making a mockery.
They don't. They never call traveling anymore. Is the no one makes good music anymore of sports?
I'm going to fight you on this one. I'm with them now. These shorts are too long. I wonder if that is something that shows you're out of touch when you don't even realize that phase is kind of over now. You know what I mean?
The short shorts.
Yep. Or no, that guys aren't wearing ludicrously long shorts anymore.
Oh, sure, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you look at like the 2003 NBA draft. I think it was T.J. Ford, who was like 5'10". He looks like he's wearing fucking bloomer type capris or like mid calf on him. But they are more form fitting now. I mean, it ain't 80s style, you know, like where it's like look like they're wearing fucking booty shorts. You know, you can see fucking Larry Bird's chicken cutlet butt cheeks popping out.
Yeah, I don't need to see Larry Bird's dick print in his fucking basketball shorts.
And I mean, it's always kind of thinly veiled racism. Everyone with their baggy pants. Like, who are you being around that has baggy pants anymore? Kids aren't into that really, like they used to be at least. You know, like
yeah, that's just racism. There's No one's actually upset. No one's actually upset about baggy pants.
Have you not been outside since 2002? That's kind of over now. Like, you gotta like, isn't there like a newsletter, old curmudgeonly people? Now you should be complaining about the tight pants, the skinny jeans.
Also, fuck you. What does it matter to you what anyone else's pants look like?
Yeah. Look at the pants you're wearing. I'm sure they are hideous.
Speaking of basketball, you and I are both sad now because both of our teams are out.
I have a different kind of sadness. For me, it's almost like there's closure. It's like watching a writhing animal suffer, but it's finally been put out of its misery. That was the Celtics for me this year. They just needed to end.
And like, as soon as you saw they were going up against Brooklyn, it's not like you were like, here we go, we're going to win it.
Yep.
Like, this has been Brooklyn's year all year. So
they're the only ones I hope lose now. Now that the Lakers are out, I'm like, okay, Brooklyn lose, and then I can just sit back and enjoy whatever happens.
I don't see why you got to come at a guy with the Lakers quite so hard. You and a fine listener who I appreciate listens to the show had to post a fucking Lakers meme on Facebook. I was like, well, that's uncalled for.
Yep. I am done, though. I just realized this recently. I'm done having vitriol towards athletes unless they're shitty, terrible people. Like, I have no reason to strongly dislike LeBron James. For the most part, he does things right. You know, like he says the right things. He's never done anything terrible. For all accounts, a very good father and spouse. He's a good role model in that way. But God, oh man, watching him lose, it's just one of those simple joys in life. It's so terrific. Like, like I can get an endorphin rush thinking back to when the Celtics beat his Cavs in 2010. That's 11 years ago. And I can still get myself out of a funk just by replaying that in my head.
It'll still get you out of bed.
Yeah, because the Cavs were supposed to win. It was LeBron's year. And nope. Not today, Junior. A 47-year-old Kevin Garnett's got something to say about that.
I'm like lost now because I kind of don't care about any other team than the Lakers. So,
oh man, what I want to see happen is this to just end up being like a Milwaukee versus Denver NBA Finals, just so you can hear the stifled screams come out of the NBA headquarters, because that is not what they want.
Yeah, the two smallest teams we can get.
Yeah. Oh, good. It's Utah versus Atlanta. Oh man, yeah, I would love to see Utah in the finals again.
I would support that. Yeah. I would support that.
Yeah, I love it when things don't work out. Do you think they wanted Tim Duncan in San Antonio? Do you think they wanted San Antonio to be in 7 NBA Finals and 15? No.
They would have liked that to be the Knicks or Miami or literally anyone else.
Yeah. Any of the LA teams, Chicago, anyone else.
Yeah, I guess it would be nice to see a fucking team from Wisconsin, of all places, in the fucking finals. But they have Brooklyn right away, so I don't know that'll happen.
Yeah, I think they got a shot, but yeah. They match up well with them, but God, fucking Brooklyn's like playing a sports video game and turning off all like the code, like having a game genie. It's like, okay, nothing matters. Your team is just stacked with all the best players.
Yeah. Yeah. And as much as I like Jay-Z, I don't think I can root for the Nets.
It's just hard to give a shit about a team that doesn't really have real fans. It's like they were moved there like 8 years ago. You know, like the hardcore basketball fans are going to root for the Knicks because the Knicks have been there for 80 years, you know, like.
Yeah, and I'd imagine whatever New Jersey fans they still had followed them, but...
Yeah, and they're probably salty about it, too. I don't know, like, yeah. Maybe, yeah. I wish I could stay in New Jersey. I could happily root for a New Jersey team winning a championship.
I wouldn't mind seeing Atlanta do well. They've always, for most of my life, been kind of a hard luck team.
Yep.
I wouldn't have any trouble seeing them win. Same with Denver.
I think 5 or 6 years ago, Atlanta, the Hawks, made the conference finals for the first time in like 50 years. You're in a rough situation if you go half a century not even losing the NBA finals, but losing the conference finals. That's rough stuff, man. Holy shit. Well, Denver's would have been, they're an old ABA team, so they would have came around 76. They've never appeared in an NBA finals. That's fucking 40-odd years. They're due. Holy shit. But the thing for them, too, this is their year to win. Their second-best player tore his ACL right before the playoffs, so.
Yeah.
Which is, oh, fuck. They would probably be the odds-on favorite to make the finals right now if it wasn't for that.
I mean, I'm not making excuses, but AD being out is a big reason why the Lakers went home.
Absolutely,
so Sometimes one poorly timed injury is all it takes.
Yeah.
Now this is a basketball podcast.
What do you text the number 1 if you want to hear more basketball? Text the number 2 if you want to hear more Simpsons. Text 3 if you want more shop teachers singing about a boy's tits. We'll give it 5 minutes.
I should put that out as a Twitter poll. Like, what is your favorite non-Simpsons shit that we always get sidetracked with? Wrestling? Basketball?
Old
extremely specific rural North Dakota stories?
So The Simpsons, it's a show.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah.
So they're looking around. One of my favorite things when they're discussing the costs is like $17,000. Like, what? And he's like, well, if you want, we could just toss them to the wolves. And my first thought is, holy shit, whoever is in charge of my estate, please toss me to the fucking wolves. I would be so angry from beyond the grave if I knew people spent money on like a nice casket. That's so dumb. Toss me in the... I want to be buried in a legit shallow grave. If this gets saved, I want hunters to discover my bones 30 years after I die and freaked the fuck out because there's a foot sticking out of the side of a hill. Like, what? I was like, oh, fuck, yeah, that's that dude. Hey.
And now there's a mystery. Now there's an investigation.
Like, I want to be, like, half eaten by coyotes and the rest can just turn to mulch. I want a coyote to have to be put down because it got the taste of human meat and is no longer afraid of us anymore. So for a summer, the countryside is terrorized by a pack of human meat-loving coyotes.
That would be, you know what? That's a fine legacy. I applaud you.
That's how I want to live forever in the belly of a feral coyote. So they are discussing Grandpa's plans, and then it gets mentioned that for $17,000, Homer could have a full-size tennis court put in his yard, which that is what he does because he's a very impulsive man.
They just smash cut from the funeral home to them pouring concrete in his backyard.
And what I thought was such a dumb fucking joke, but maybe other people enjoyed it, like, he's like baffled when he sees Bart and Lisa playing tennis. Like, well, what are you guys doing? It's like, well, we're playing tennis. Well, what is it when the women fight? He's foxy boxing? That's what he thought. It's like, it's so fucking dumb. But I did like the reference to foxy boxing.
I liked it because it's like, oh, wait, that's the one I wanted.
Yeah. And that led to me thinking, have you ever played tennis in your life, Marlon?
There's probably once where me and a friend who lived in town stood on opposite sides of the net and barely swatted it back and forth to each other. But played tennis? No, absolutely not.
I know we used to play badminton in gym class. Like, that's the closest I've been to tennis.
Which isn't that just soft tennis?
Well, with a shuttlecock instead of a ball, yeah.
It's just dainty tennis.
Yeah, it just can't hit the ground. There's no bouncing.
Yeah. I think I've mentioned before, in college, we played a fair amount of racquetball.
Oh, there we go.
My friends and I. So that would be the closest I've come for sure.
So you've dabbled in the racket sports.
Yeah, I've whacked balls with a thing. Yeah.
So almost immediately, this the tennis court kind of becomes the talk of the town. Like it kind of becomes the who's who of Springfield comes to play tennis. And Marge really appreciates, kind of gets, she likes hosting things and she likes being, known around town. But she finds out to her dismay that people are laughing at them behind their back because of how pitiful they are at tennis. Well, actually, how pitiful Homer is at tennis.
Yeah, people who I would never assume are into tennis, like Burns and Smithers comes by. Yep, that makes sense. Tennis is kind of a hoity-toity thing. Kent Brockman and Stephanie the Weather Girl come by. Yep, okay, that makes sense to me.
Lenny and Carl.
Wiggum and the one other cop.
Yep.
What about Chief Wiggum tells you, yep, I bet he fucking loves playing tennis.
He's a tennis nut. I think
that was the most unbelievable crazy shit of this episode is who is into tennis in this town.
I think it's Marge overhears Mr. or Dr. Hibbert referring to them as the Los Angeles Clippers of tennis. Like, anyone can win.
Yeah, that was funny. Especially looking at it now because the Clippers are good now.
Yeah, they aren't owned by a slumlord anymore. They have a billionaire Microsoft owner now. And so Marge is kind of fed up and Homer won't do anything to improve because he's Homer and he's shitty. Then she kind of discovers almost by accident that Bart is actually a very good tennis player. Mm-hmm. And from there, they ended up I think she just kind of slowly but surely just removes Homer from the tennis equation. It's like, oh, I will lay out my clothes for tomorrow's tournament. It's like,
he's
Homer,
so excited.
Read the room.
They lean into this so hard because he's so excited to be in the tennis tournament with Marge.
And she's,
oh my God.
And they come back, and they did win it. They got the little trophies, and I did enjoy that the tournament was to raise money for balcony collapse awareness. BC. I don't care about BC. I care about ME, my entertainment. This is the whole. I hate blubbery, pouty Homer, like selfish, pouty Homer.
And this episode very much takes that turn, and it reminded me, this is kind of exactly the arc of I don't know if you remember from episode, 8 of America's Barley Basket, when the Pinewood Derby episode, where Bart decides to be on Team Martin because he has the better car, and Homer's just a pouty, petty asshole the rest of the episode.
Good call, yeah. And they're kind of him and Martin are kind of teaming up to beat Nelson, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So you're right. There's a lot of similarities there because man, he is just such an emotional weakling.
And then it takes the weird turn of
Marge being shitty.
Well, that too, but before that, Homer is worried that Bart is gonna steal his wife.
Good call.
There's that weird daydream of his where he imagines Bart and Marge sitting on a couch sipping wine.
Okay, so in last week's episode we had where Homer is hallucinating and thinks Bart is one of his harem girls, and by how the car is driving, we're led to believe that he assaulted Bart sexually, and now he is worried that his many-year wife is going to leave them for their 10-year-old son. Someone needed to sit down and have a talk with this writing room. There is some undealt with issues in those families.
Yeah, I sat there in this episode being like, what is going on? And that only lasts a couple of minutes, but I was like, this is fucking weird for a minute.
And so to get back, Homer's going to try to create a team with him and Lisa, which Lisa sees through that she's just getting used. I don't you're just doing this to get back at Mom. I like Mom. But then Lisa kind of gets into it because Bart well, you don't have a chance. Lisa's terrible. Lisa's like, wait a second, I'm better than you. So now that she's got her competitive juices flowing, so now they are kind of at odds, and they're going to compete in this giant tournament, which we get Serena and Venus Williams are the first ones we see. Which, how bonkers is it that 20 years later, Serena Williams is still one of the best tennis players on planet Earth?
Right, 20 years.
Legit,
later. 20
years ago is when this episode aired. And I think Venus, up until a couple years ago, was still fairly high. She wasn't a challenge to win majors anymore, but fucking Serena, I think when she's healthy, she still is, which is nuts. And if I'm not a celebrity crush man, but man, prime Serena Williams, that does something for old Nate Fullsbuck.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Really flutters it up.
Good looking gal. Gal. So like someone's grandfather describing who won Dairy Queen of the
at the county fair.
Yep. So we get them, and it starts with Homer kind of tricking Venus into replacing Bart. And instead of doing anything about that, Marge just plays that game and replaces Lisa, or replaces Bart with Serena. So it's
and I like that she's in the stands going, oh no, I just ate a personal pizza, which I thought was just this quick fun joke.
Yeah, you're right. That was a good, nice thing to toss in there.
Oh, I got to play tennis now. I just ate a pizza.
And I mean, it's just a chance for them to get famous people to talk on their cartoon show. But then I did like the turnabout of, well, why are they playing with these two duds? So Venus replaces Homer with Pete Sampras, and then Marge does the same, or Serena does the same with Marge for Andre Agassi. And I did
so now it's just 4 tennis players playing tennis.
Yeah, and I like Homer. What was it? I'm Andre Agassi, the wrestler.
Yep.
I got a kick out of that.
I laughed at that.
But the rest of it was just, man, it just goes to show. You start leading on those celebrity voices and shit. It's like I don't know. It wasn't terrible, but my comment is just, this was weak sauce, Marlon. Weak sauce.
Agreed. I wasn't a huge fan of this one.
Yeah, just...
It did remind me with Andre Agassi and how he's drawn. Andre Agassi is one of those poor men who hair loss hit like a ton of bricks.
Yeah, you're right.
Remember Andre in the 90s with his long flowing Fabio hair?
Yep.
And then in this episode, he looks like George Costanza.
Yeah, good call. Yeah. You know what? He dealt with it, though. I'll give him that. He looked it in the eye.
Just went with it.
Yeah.
He just gave up and let it happen, like drowning. I did like the line, I think it's from Homer, when they're watching these 4 tennis players play. He just says, it's better to watch stuff than to do stuff. Yeah. Like, that's the lesson.
Yeah.
I thought that was a fun little tag on the way out.
That's a recurring... It doesn't happen often, but we've seen that before, where it's just like... The lesson here is to never try. I know that's an early one where I think that's a Holbert and Lisa message.
If at first you don't succeed, stop trying.
Yeah.
Yeah. One last one, episode 13 is Day of the Jackanapes. We love a Sideshow Bob episode around here. It starts out, Mo is on a game show of some sort.
Me Wanty is the name of it.
Yep, that's what it is.
Me Wanty.
It's a Who Wants to Be a Millionaire type, which was super hot at this time, I assume.
Yep.
That sounds about right anyway. We see that the network suits are on Krusty's ass about how he should do this to his show and do that. They're just noting Krusty to death. Just every little thing they want changed or they want input on. They're as far as portraying network execs as being really insufferable, they do a great job here.
Oh, absolutely. We have seen more of the smart lady character in this season than I think the 11 seasons prior. She is a big part of this.
Yeah, she's getting around town. Yeah. She apparently holds every job in this town.
Yeah.
They get to the point where they're giving him notes while he's on the air, like during commercial breaks and during a sketch. And Krusty flips out and says he's going to quit after Friday's show. So Friday is the last day. There's a joke where the Simpsons are sitting around the dinner table talking about, I can't believe how it's Krusty's last day on Friday. And Marge says, well, I think it's important for a show to go off the air before they become stale and repetitive. And Smithers pokes his head in and is like, come quick, Maggie shot Mr. Burns again. And then they hold on that shot way too long. Just like them all just kind of looking at each other.
Yeah.
We cut to Sideshow Bob, who's in prison, watching an interview that Kent Brockman is doing with Krusty, where Krusty reveals that he taped over all of his old episodes because he had other things to record, and blank tapes were $3.99.
Judge Judy.
Judge Judy, that's right. He had a thing for Judge Judy, and blank tapes were $3.99.
Destroyed Sideshow Bob's legacy for Judge Judy.
Yep, he's essentially completely erased Sideshow Bob from history, and Sideshow Bob is pissed about that.
Pretty egotistical, so the last thing he wants is to be erased from history.
Yeah, so Sideshow Bob is conveniently up for parole and gets out.
Comically easy, as always.
Yep. Whenever we need him, he is just up for parole and gets it. Like, that's just how it goes. And I fucking love that scene of Bob walking down the street and Wiggum walking next to him talking about how, like, you better not cause any trouble this time. You gotta keep your nose clean because I'm gonna be watching you. And Sideshow Bob just starts walking moderately faster and leaves Wiggum in the dust.
Yeah.
And Wiggum Wiggum's like, hey, wait, hey, slow down. No way. And he says, no fair, you have those long legs. I got these little bitty hooves, which I really laughed at.
And they are hooves. He does not have normal feet.
He's, like we said, he's just gotten to where they just draw him like an animated pig now. Yeah. He's kind of always been that way, but they really lean into it now. Bob living that good life. He's living in a storage unit. Everyone's aspiration.
Gil, of course.
Gil also living in a storage unit. He comes over and visits Bob like, hey, neighbor.
Was it $2 a day?
Yeah, for an extra $2 a day, you can live in it. And then the guy who runs the self storage is like, "Do you want to wake up poke like
the broom
with his
handle.
broom?" Yeah, like it's a fucking hotel. Bob gets himself a job doing the morning announcements at the school. A hell of a stretch that is its own position.
Yep, at a public school.
He lures Bart out to the old sports equipment shed behind the school and hypnotizes Bart. Says that Bart is going to be the one. He's going to use Bart to kill Krusty. Is his grand scheme.
Manchurian candidate.
Yeah. So we have Sleeper Cell Bart, who's going to kill Krusty on Friday.
Have you ever been hypnotized, Marlon?
No, I never have.
Ever been at like an event where it would have been possible?
I have been at events like that, yeah, like comedy hypnotists, or some manner of team building, Yeah, I've been to things like that where it happens and you see people do it, but I've never volunteered.
I think we once had one for like the after prom party when I was in high school. And then some kind of school, you were probably at FFA, you go to the FFA convention in the big city or, to Bismarck.
Yeah.
I think I must have been VICA. Must have been like a VICA trip. They had because that was the only time I've ever seen anyone I know get hypnotized. Because I'm just sitting there trying to get myself hypnotized. Like, that could be kind of cool. And it doesn't work for me because my buddy Craig falls into my lap stiff as a goddamn board. I mean, he was out, but like hitting me jostled him away. But he was like startled. I remember that too. Like, so he did sink into it. Like,
I'm always very skeptical of those things. Like, really?
How is this possible? Yeah.
Right. Even when people come out of it and you're like, come on, tell me the truth. They're like, no, it was real. I never believe it. Yeah. Like, okay, I don't know about all this.
Yeah. Who talked to you beforehand?
I know a guy who does comedy hypnotism. I should talk to him about getting an American barley basket hypnotism going.
Yeah.
And man, you nailed it. After prom, that is their money market. Is
spring
the
is a busy
parties.
Time for the hypnotist.
Yeah. So we're at the theater or the TV studio, I guess, for Krusty's final episode. The stars are out. We get Gary Coleman, because why not? We get Rainier Wolfcastle, who's fallen on hard times apparently. And I don't know if that's just meant to make fun of the fact that Schwarzenegger was kind of out of it by this point.
Yeah.
Like 2001, Schwarzenegger wasn't cranking him out like he was.
But he wasn't like a joke at that point. He was just kind of slowing down.
Yeah, and he just went from movies straight into governorship.
Yeah.
So it's not like he had a...
Yeah. On the subject...
But like his suit's all raggedy and he's got a beer gut. Like,
yeah, I just don't get it. Because, like, he went from... I mean, like, this is around the time of, like... Was it I can't think of what it was called. Like, where I just know it's like more of a sci-fi Arnold movie. That was just around that time. Like, so he was getting to the end of his run as a bankable star, but... He wasn't like Charlie Sheen, Tiger Blood, like he wasn't like a punchline yet. And this is jumping ahead a little bit, but I thought one thing was interesting with the notes, like the two network suits, they mentioned like getting Dave Chappelle on the Krusty Show, which I found as a fascinating reference because this is before Chappelle's Show debuted. At this point, he is, you know, he's a popular stand-up, but he doesn't really have a whole lot of cross, you know, like movie star roles at this point in his life, like. Because Half
Baked would have been out by this
but that
point,
wasn't
right?
a hit. That was a slow burner, Office Space style, where it kind of built a cult following. Like,
yeah.
Well, so I thought that was a fascinating reference. Like, I guess he was probably the hot young comic at the moment. You know, like.
I didn't do the work to look up whether or not Chappelle's Show was on yet. I assumed it was because I
03.
I wouldn't have assumed they'd have made a reference otherwise.
That's what made me look it up. I was like, wait a second, I don't remember Chappelle's Show being on at this point. Like,
man, Chappelle's Show was so fucking good.
Yeah, I'm trying to think back. Like, was it as good? Do you think it holds up? Man, there are some very good things in it. Like.
I would be curious if it holds up. I bet some of it does. I bet some of it super doesn't.
Yeah. You know what? One of my favorite, it never really caught on. Like, it wasn't one that people talked about, was that World Series of Dice. Like the character,
hell yeah,
like Ashy Larry, and then that one middle-aged black guy that don't take, because when the robbers come in, like, everybody get buck naked, and it's like, Charlie Robinson, don't get buck naked for nobody. and like the criminal just kind of gives him a half-hearted nod, then just unloads a pistol into his legs.
Yeah. You see, he shot below the knee to avoid the attempted murder charge. Yeah, that's a funny sketch. I think my favorite is the racial draft.
Yeah.
Is one of my favorites. Probably that or the I love the fucking Charlie Murphy Prince story. Yeah, so that was maybe it's that one.
I bet when they were in the writing room, they're just thinking of all these outlandish ideas. The place like, how about we just have Charlie Murphy tell insane stories from the 80s?
Yeah. Pretty into, I was like, I'd have been, you know, freshman year of college was 03, so that show was inescapable.
Yeah.
Like, everybody was doing the Little John What, which didn't get old quick at all.
Yeah, back at a time when everyone still had basic cable.
Yeah.
Simpler, more innocent time.
So Krusty's doing his farewell episode. We get to see some old Krusty clips. I love the clip of him on Laugh-In, where one of the cast members goes through the shutters with a setup, and he's supposed to jump in, but the shutters won't open. I thought that was pretty funny.
I do like that Hee Haw was basically just a ripoff of Laugh-In.
Yeah, Hee Haw's just hillbilly Laugh-In is all it is.
Yeah, I think because they have one. I think they're in the corn, or they're poking their head out of the corn and telling little quick one-liner jokes.
Yeah, and they didn't have the brilliant Lily Tomlin, which was, for me, my favorite part of Laugh-In.
Yeah, you're right. That's kind of one of her first big things was Laugh-In.
So Bart is rigged with explosives. Sideshow Bob has him all wired up with all these plastic explosives, wired to like hand buzzers on his palms, and Krusty's gonna say the trigger word, which is gonna activate Bart, and he's gonna run up and give Krusty a hug, which will set off the explosives, killing them both. That's Bob's plan. We get a lot of good Bob talking to himself throughout this entire episode. He's up in the catwalk, kind of just getting ready for this.
And also enjoying some delicious kettle chips.
Yep. The perfect snack for revenge.
Where do you stand on kettle chips versus regular?
9 times out of 10, I would rather have regular chips.
I'm with you. There are sometimes I really like kettle chips hit the spot, but I don't know, man. I think it's a case of if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Got potato chips. You get the right kind. They're a tasty treat.
I as manly as this is gonna sound, I have a real soft mouth. I don't like hard, sharp edges. I don't, just a chip is fine. Kettle chips are adversarial in a way that I don't need in my life.
That should be all of that. If there was someone to have like a little 30-second audio recording to put on your Tinder profile. I have a soft mouth.
There's real oral tenderness to Marlin.
That could be a title of a comedy album.
I don't need kettle chips or Captain Crunch.
Oh,
I don't need.
God, you get it
I don't
wet
need
with the
hard,
milk?
pointy things.
That's worth.
Like if I get Captain Crunch, it has to sit in the bowl for a minute because I need to prepare my mouth.
Yep. Oh boy, that's another thing. Get it on that Tinder.
Yeah, by all means, isolate that. Make it your text tone.
Prepare my mouth.
Fuck.
Whew, fun to laugh.
Just burying myself over here. So Krusty says the trigger word, Bart activates and starts walking to the stage just as Krusty is like saying, oh, and I need to give, I have something I need to say about someone. And he gives this big heartfelt apology to Sideshow Bob, like how what a great partner he was, and he's so sorry for how things went, and gives this big heartfelt thing. And then Bob is kind of shaken loose by this, being like, wait a minute, I can't do that after that.
Yeah.
And Bart just gets up to Krusty, and the chimp, whose name I forget, but Krusty's chimp that's on the show, swoops in, takes off the bomb belt, and tosses it into the network exec room, which blows them up. And then they all liquid metal reform like the T-1000 in Terminator 2. And that's when we get the, have you considered casting Dave Chappelle?
I did like, too, that the monkey, the chimp, had a moment of recognition of what it was doing. Like, oh, wait, if I throw these in there, I will kill everyone. But he hesitated, he thought about it, he still went through with it.
Yep. Yeah, it wasn't reckless. Yeah. It was an intentional act.
Yeah. Yeah, but it doesn't stop them because they are immortal. They are liquid metal. Here to give notes. And I read up on it. All it was Al Jean, who wrote this episode, had worked on a sitcom before coming back to The Simpsons and was driven to the brink of madness by the incessant studio head notes that he got that basically destroyed any kind of creative flow that show could have had.
I bet that's a nightmare. Can you imagine just doing stand-up, someone poking their head in the door all the time, telling you to change this to that? Fuck.
Yeah. And what you hear is so much of it is people justifying why they're at that meeting or why they have their job, so they feel like they have to make a comment of something that needs to be changed.
Yeah, they have to say something because otherwise, why are they there?
So, oh my God, that's the kind of shit. If you have valid concerns or criticisms, I'm all ears. But if you're just talking because you feel like you have to, fuck. And then in some cases, those people have the power. Like, you can't override it. Like,
yeah. God,
show
sounds
business.
Like a nightmare. And then Bob is going to be sent away to he gets the death penalty with no trial, and that wraps it up. Yeah. So we'll see when we see Bob again.
There's a good line too when he realizes that he can't let Krusty die, and he kind of gets lost in that song that Krusty's singing. Then he just sees Bart in his trance. He's like, "Oh no, my boy bomb!" Like, I don't know why those words made me laugh.
Yeah, that was a fun line.
Yeah.
My boy bomb.
And while reading up on the backstory of this episode, I did also find out the picture in the background of when Krusty's singing that song it's because it's Krusty and Sideshow Bob together. It's from just random the same exact picture is taken on some random ass Simon and Garfunkel album. It's just like the two of them, like Sideshow Bob and Krusty are in the exact same pose that they are on that Simon and Garfunkel album, which I got a kick out of.
That's funny. Yeah, those The Simpsons is so chock full of those references that I'm certainly not going to catch them all.
That is holy I mean, I'd say who's going to get that reference, but 10 minutes ago we discussed me getting a sad sack reference.
Yeah.
Who am I?
There's something in it for everybody, Nathan.
I think this episode is definitely an improvement upon the tennis one.
I think so too. I think it's better than the tennis one. I think it's maybe my least favorite of the Sideshow Bob episodes.
Yep. It's definitely a step below the comic book shop episode and the one prior, the prison episode, I would say. The prison rodeo episode.
Yeah. Because the Sideshow Bob episodes traditionally are real fucking good. Like that one with Sideshow Bob's brother where they blow up the dam.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's been real good Sideshow Bob episodes.
And I also, in the notes for that episode, they talked about how they all wanted to do a Sideshow Bob episode, but they're just like, holy fuck, we're running out of ideas. Like, what directions can we take this character that we haven't already?
Which is exciting for me because it's like, there's 20 more seasons after this. Where else do they go with Sideshow Bob? That makes me excited to see what they do.
I think we're going to find out maybe the results aren't that good from if curmudgeonly Simpsons fans are to be believed. That it ain't going to get better, but I don't know. I'm on like a 3 episode of the podcast, like 15 episodes of the show roughly. I'm on a pretty higher note than I was like 2 months ago.
Yeah, I think this week and last week in particular have been good batches.
I thought so. Again, we're not going to get the Godhead shit that we did, like season 6 and stuff, but like these are funny enough.
It was a good batch, man. I was pretty into it. That wraps up another episode. Next week, they are 14 through 18 of season 12. As we march on, there will be more new metal. There will be more Simpsons. Hope you're enjoying that.
Yeah, we knocked it out of the park last week.
Yeah, I had a buddy text me last week being like, "Boy, you guys really went for it with that Limp Bizkit." It's like, yeah, we did. We certainly did.
Looking back, we're gonna see that a lot of this really comes into our passions in life. Maybe we want to pretend we're not into new metal, but maybe we are. Well, you don't pretend. You wear it on your sleeve pretty proudly.
I don't pretend at all.
Maybe I'm more of the elitist here.
Yeah, you're the one acting like you're too good for new metal. Yeah. Like, Korn. I'm like, fuck you. Shit is gold.
I've always stood up for Korn. Maybe not so much Limp Bizkit, but I've always said there's a 12-track Korn greatest hits out there in the ether that if it was put together, I would really enjoy it.
Yeah, I could maybe do twice that. I could do a 2-disc set.
You could do the Korn Gold, put out by Sony Records.
Yeah, I could do a Volume 1, Volume 2 for sure.
Sold at a really good price point. Now, you know what? I'm in on this.
That wraps it up. We have the social medias that you can find us on at Barley Basket USA on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Not doing much on Twitter lately because I can't get the videos to post for some reason, which is a bummer.
Internet.
Yeah, it's the big internet is trying to keep us down, and I won't have it. So
they don't know who they're messing with.
I'll get that sorted out. And you can email the show, barleybasketusa@gmail.com. That's what I got going. I'm going to be watching playoff basketball, and that's about it.
Yeah, some shooty hoops. The Twins are a dumpster fire, so got 3 more months of terrible baseball to watch, I guess. We have jumped into the exciting world of podcast advertising, so we're going to try get some new listeners.
Yep, trying to pump them numbers. We're trying to. I guess we got to put some money into this fucking thing.
Yeah, Marlin is a man of expensive taste, so he needs this to become economically viable, so he can get the real nice furs. Right now is a lot of secondhand fur, and also one of your comedy albums.
Secondhand fur. Yep, I want to have a nice barbecue for all my friends, but the Persian cats for the grill are very expensive. So
yeah, I feel you have the personality to pull off wearing a really outrageous full-length fur coat.
Do you really? You think I've got it?
And I want you to consider that a compliment, because I don't think I have the confidence. I feel like you could.
Oh, I do take it as a compliment, and I don't necessarily disagree with you. I just wanted to hear it a second time.
Yeah, I think I could see you with some giant sunglasses on, with a big floss and fur coat. Maybe you're like, fuck it, let's get some rings and have some outrageous rings on too. Really put it all together.
I could absolutely be a ring man, and I would have no problem jumping into a ring wearing lifestyle.
Yeah. God, let's make this happen. Tell your friends, people. We gotta.
If I'm gonna get into big gaudy rings, we gotta have more listeners. So I mean, if you guys don't want my dreams to come true, that's okay. Don't tell your friends.
We get the viewers. We get the De Beers advertising deal. We make a sweetheart offer where we will do it for ring money. Getting paid in gift cards to De Beers. You're in Sierra Leone picking up the diamonds. He's like,
in my fur coat. It's fucking hot.
Yeah, the fur coat doesn't come off.
But leave a review on iTunes. It helps somehow. I don't pretend to understand the algorithm.
The internet's a baffling place.
Yeah, it's scary out there. Everyone stay safe. Yeah. Keep your head on a swivel when you're out on that internet.
Keep an eye on yourself, on each other.
All right. Everyone enjoy yourselves. We'll see you next week.
Bye, everybody.